Hi, this is Josh Marshall from TPM Media. It's Thursday, October 11th, 2007. This is the first of our weekly campaign 2008 Roundup. So we're going to be doing every week from now through November 2008. And what we want to talk about today is the way that both presidential nomination races have crystallized over the last couple weeks on the Democratic side and on the Republican side. Start with the Republican side. For months, Rudy Giuliani has been the dominant force in the Republican nomination race, but always hanging in the background has been this question: how can it be that someone with socially liberal views on issues like abortion, gay rights, even gun control can be the nominee of a party that has strong, down-the-line conservative positions on all those issues? Over the last couple of weeks, we've started to find out the answer. First, Richard Viguerie, who's a legendary figure in conservative politics going back 40 years, started a petition on his website asking base Republican voters to sign up, telling the leadership of the party they would not accept a pro-choice nominee. Next, James Dobson, who is maybe the most powerful figure in the religious right these days, announced in a op-ed in the New York Times that he and the people who follow him would also not support Rudy Giuliani. In fact, they would support a third-party candidate that would almost certainly sink the Republican ticket. Now, the big shoe dropped when the Rasmussen organization came out with a poll showing that in a head-to-head match between Giuliani and Hillary Clinton, and of course, remember, Hillary Clinton is the bête noire of all conservatives, that even in a race between Giuliani and Hillary Clinton, 27% of self-identified Republican voters would defect and vote for a third-party candidate, meaning that Hillary would crush Rudy Giuliani. So that's created a situation where Giuliani has what amounts to a conservative glass ceiling above him. He leads the pack in most of the national polls, but it's really not clear whether he can ever really get much past the low 30s in support, and whether he could actually sustain the Republican ticket if he were the nominee. Now that brings us to Mitt Romney, who wants to make this a two-man race between him and Giuliani, and he wants to use this issue to do it. Now, one of his key supporters is a guy named Mark DeMoss. He's actually a publicist, but a lot of his clients are big players among Christian evangelicals, playing the politics of the Christian evangelical movement. Now, DeMoss came forward this week and sent a letter out to Christian evangelical voters, and particularly their key leaders, to basically say, Romney's the only one who can stop Rudy Giuliani. So whoever you like best, everybody's got to get behind Mitt Romney to make sure that Rudy Giuliani is not the nominee of the Republican Party. Now, if Giuliani has a glass ceiling, there's a very different situation going on the Democratic side, and that is not only does Hillary Clinton seem to be the front runner, there's even a question now, can she even be stopped? Now look at this graph. This isn't a polling chart. It's actually a graph from the Iowa Markets website, basically a betting website where people bet on who is going to be the nominee for the Democratic and Republican parties. You see those two lines at the top that start off together, slowly split apart, and then split apart entirely towards the end of the graph. The number on top, the line on top, is Hillary. The one trailing off towards the bottom is Obama. And if you look at right around the time they start to break apart, that is right about when Obama made his remarks about Pakistan. Now that was right around the beginning of August, and since then there's been a series of stories that have coalesced the idea that Hillary just can't be stopped. And the flip side of that is, does Barack Obama, is he willing to fight really enough? Does he have the umph inside of him, the fire in the belly, to really take on Hillary? He's been running his race as though he were the front runner, when actually in the expectations game, he's been falling further and further behind. Now, when I watched Obama in the last debate, I was really underwhelmed, and I was thinking, does this guy realize he's behind and falling further and further behind? Because it doesn't look like he's not fighting like someone who's trying to make up ground, who's trying to knock off the front runner. Now, this reminds me of a lot of previous Democratic primary races, where often you'll have one candidate who's maybe not the most elegant, maybe doesn't come off as the most thoughtful, but that candidate is up against another who is the thoughtful, the classy, the dream candidate for a lot of liberal voters. And in the past, who's that been? It's been Paul Tsongas, it's been Bill Bradley, it's been Gary Hart, but that candidate never actually ends up pulling it together. And I'm wondering, is Obama that candidate in this cycle? So that's the question. Is Obama really willing to take it to Hillary, to make the arguments about Iraq, about Iran, on all the key issues that he says he's the new thing, the turning the page for the future? Or is he just going to hang back like this? Because hanging back, Hillary's just too good a candidate to lose this race if that's how Obama's going to play it. Now, a lot of people have been asking this question, and today on CNN, Obama got a chance to answer.
We are 3 months away from the Iowa caucus, the first caucus. This has been a presidential season that's been greatly accelerated. The American people, though, they've been going about their business, getting their kids to school, working on the job, doing what they do every day. They are now focusing in on making these difficult decisions. And I think that now is the time where we're going to be laying out a very clear contrast between myself and Senator Clinton. Not just on the past, not just on Iraq, but moving forward. How would we approach Iran, for example?
Now, you just saw it. We'd like to find out what you think of that. Write to the email address that's right below me here and tell us what you think of Obama's response. My sense is that's not going to cut it. You can kind of see the equivocation, the unwillingness to kind of grab the bull by the horns right there. So for this week, good week for Mitt Romney and a really good week for Hillary Clinton. I'm Josh Marshall, TPM Media, and we'll talk to you next week.